Ready? Chapter 5. A Journey Begins. Aino looked at the two men bowing in front of her. "You're not here for a friendly visit." Atle stood up straight and reached out his hand towards her. "We are here to ask you to come with us. Niila and Eila would like to meet you once again." She looked down at his hand. "I can't move fast like you." "I'll carry you," Joel interrupted. Atle's expression stiffened as he drew back his hand and looked at his fellow general. The second sentence their creator had ever spoke to them, and that man already had the indecency to interrupt her. Aino looked at Joel and his cloak covered in dried blood. She was thoroughly convinced that she needed her distance from him and that smell. She turned her head and looked desperately at Keon, and it didn't take many seconds before he caught on to what she wanted. It was too late to turn back now anyways. He had made his choice yesterday when he decided to stay by her side. "I'll carry her," he said as he could see Aino draw a sigh of relief. The two mages on the other hand looked him up and down like he was on display. "You?" Yuva snorted at him. "You're tiny." Keon felt a bit speechless. That was the first time in his life he had ever been referred to in such a way. "If you want me to come with you, it's on the condition that he carries me, no one else." Aino pointed to Keon. "Of course." Atle nodded at her in agreement. He glanced over at Joa in discontent. That mouth of his was going to ruin everything if he kept at it. Aino stepped behind Keon to be able to get up on his back. "Thank you," she said quietly and added, "You're not tiny." Keon turned his head and smiled at her. "I know." As they started walking out of the forest, Atle leaned in close to Joa. "Say one more thing out of line and I'll make sure it'll be the last thing you ever say." Joa felt his anger flare up. He was not here to take a lecture from a self-righteous man. He clenched his fists. "Try to order me around and see what happens." The two mages exchanged angry looks. Keon reflected upon the scene in front of him. He could almost touch the tension in the air. If there was one thing that was clear, it was that those two men didn't like each other. As they had their backs turned to him, he noticed the 3 big vertically embroidered stars on their cloaks. 3 star generals. Only the color were different. One had yellow stars and the other had black. For being of 2 different armies, their uniforms sure were strikingly similar. Lia sat waiting by the riverside. Next to her sat the mage from Niila's blood army. She had seen by the back of his cloak that he was a colonel. "So we didn't get introduced before. I'm Tyr," he said to her. "I'm Lia," she replied. He leaned back to get a better look at her cloak. "So you are sent a second lieutenant to get Atle, huh?" "He sure is trying his best to antagonize him." "There is no time to get anyone else," she answered briskly. I'm sure." He didn't believe her for a second. Lia didn't like Tyr's tone and what was up with that haughty attitude of his. Acting all high and mighty seemed to be a trait shared by everyone in that army. She knew they looked down on her and her comrades for not having the same background as them. Yet Niila's mages were the one who had been reduced in numbers on the battlefield before the truce, not Eila's. Tyr and Lia saw the group coming out from the forest, and both of them felt the pull immediately. Their creator was here. Lia flinched when she saw who was carrying her. Why him? This way she couldn't get close enough. Keon felt the burning hatred radiating from Lia as she joined the officers from close behind. He had Joa to the left of him and Atle to the right. The 4th mage was walking in front of them. He noticed how the stars on the 4th mage's cloak were much smaller. golden just like Atlas, but smaller in size than the lieutenant general's. On top of the 3 vertical stars were what looked like an embroidered droplet. Blood, he guessed. It seemed to be their symbol, after all. He hadn't noticed before, but something seemed to make the cloak bulge. Did the colonel have a shield underneath? He turned his head in both the direction of Atle and Joa. Their cloaks looked the same. If they had shields, they probably had weapons too. Did they carry those on their backs as well, hidden under the cloak? He wanted to ask, but he wasn't sure it was a good idea to say anything, so he kept quiet for now. After about 10 minutes of silent walking, Aino broke the ice. "Where are we headed?" "To my camp," Joa answered. "Every officer is out looking for you right now, Aino, including Eila and Niila themselves. There are 14 camps in total, each separated by 24 hours of walking. Every camp has a general leading it. The first 2 camps here in the north are lieutenant general camps. The next 4 following are major general camps. Then it's all brigadier generals, until the last 2 in the south, where you will find the 4 stars running the show. You see, we are on strict orders. Only an officer is allowed to look for you, and only 2 generals, 1 from each army, are allowed to make first contact with you. Walking through the camps, you will notice that only the generals will approach you. None of the other officers can talk to you, unless you initiate the conversation, of course." "Why are Eila and Niila so far south?" Aino asked. Joa continued. "They want to be close to the rest of their army, in case something happens while the officers are gone. The headquarter and living areas are all set up in the south. A lot of abandoned castles from the old world there. After all, none of the cadets are mages yet. Your blood is given as a reward to those who graduate, making them true blood soldiers." Becoming a blood mage, was that all that mattered to them? Did they really find pride in being part of an army whose only goal for years had been to kill another army? Aino felt the rage building up within her. Her blood had started their war. It was only fitting that the blood armies would end with her taking it back. The 4 officers turned their heads to look at her. They could all feel her. Joa opened his mouth, but closed it again, biting his tongue. He could feel the intense stare from Atle, like that was going to keep him quiet. If anything, it just made him feel irritated. Their orders were clear: do nothing to anger their creator. Joa looked at her, tried to read her expression. He had a hard time understanding what she wanted. In the end, none of them knew how powerful she might be. The sun hit Keon's eyes. It was a beautiful day. As he looked up to the sky, he saw something dark approach them from above. "What's that?" he asked, pointing to the sky. In the same second he heard Joa yell, "Incoming!" as him and the other mages ripped out their shields from under their cloaks to cover themselves. Keon froze. Arrows. It was arrows raining down on them.